I'm Lisa Vandenberg with the Advantage Inspection Service, and I love that Kelly put this class together today, that it's not just all about real estate, and she sent her video, open houses and all that kind of thing. It's a little bit about how we can care for ourselves while we're working and taking care of our families. So I'm going to introduce our panelists, and then I've got some specific questions, but at the end we're definitely going to have some Q&A and where you guys can ask your own questions. So the first one is Kristen. They gave bios, and so I just kind of pared them down, and I'm going to just read them. Kristen, in the middle, her company is called Well Balance, and her therapy is called PERT, which stands for Physical Emotional Restorative Therapy. She's a facial stretch therapist, movement specialist, fascia, Reiki practitioner, grief and trauma counselor, yoga and meditation practitioner. She uses all these modalities to help people heal from both physical injuries and illnesses, as well as release emotional trauma stuck in their body. She has worked in the health and wellness industry for over 35 years, and I've known her for like 25.
We were two when we met.
Yeah, that's it. Tara Penna on the end. She's a fitness professional, nationally accredited, and specializes in weight management golf tournament. Weight management and functional fitness. Tara has 12 years of experience. Tara is passionate about health and fitness. She enjoys helping people achieve individual results through manageable lifestyle changes. Her certifications, there are many: NCCPT, CPT, TRX, Behavioral Change Specialization, ISSA, Fitness Nutrition. I'm sure the list goes on. Lots of letters behind. And to my right here is Chrissy Barth. She's an integrative and functional sports dietitian nutritionist. Her company is called Epic Biology. She helps athletes and executives achieve their peak performance through one-on-one functional performance, nutrition programming, comprehensive nutrition testing, professional grade supplements, and personalized meal planning. All the accreditations behind her name are MS, RDN, and RYT. So welcome to all. Okay, I wrote down kind of 3 questions that I was going to ask each one of you, so maybe we'll go down the line and you can answer one. The whole thing for our panelists is going to be 1 hour, so I will tell you to shorten it or wrap it up, so we can get to questions from the audience. Okay, we'll start with Chrissy. What is the #1 nutrition lie in our culture today?
There's so many. It's hard to Gosh. Wow. It's a tough one. I think really, if you think about food in general, it's a shame, but we've gotten away from like real food. And I know, I'll go into different grocery stores, and it's amazing at how different I'll feel from like different grocery stores. And what's really is frightening and sad too is that there's probably about 15 or 20 ingredients that our food companies put in our food supply that are banned in other countries, which is scary. And then we wonder why we've got all these metabolic issues, all this mental health issues, gut issues now we're starting to see. And I think a lot of that's from the herbicides, what is it called? Glyphosates. I'm sorry, I forget that word. But it's a lot of like pesticides that we use on our foods that when it gets into our bodies, and our digestive system can't properly metabolize it, and so we start to see a lot of autoimmune issues too. So I think just fake food, like just be careful. If the ingredient list is super long, I would toss it, or if you can't pronounce the words, toss it. And I think it's really important to go back to real whole foods. I believe all foods can fit in moderation, but really try to focus on real whole foods.
Love that. Kristen, what is fascial? Because I pronounced it wrong the first time. What is fascia? Fascia tissue, and why does it relieve both physical pain and emotional pain?
Well, excuse me while I get my props. Can I stand with the camera? Okay. There's a. I love visuals because I think that it helps you to understand a little better. Okay, so the fascia tissue is nerve connective tissue, and it literally runs through your whole body. So when we think of what our structure of our body is, a lot of people think, oh, it's your muscles and your skeletal system, right? Well, how would muscles and skeletal system hold your body together? They would right? It would fall. So this fascial tissue is like tensegrity. And tensegrity is tension and compression combined. So, see how this, like if I were to just take all these sticks, they would just fall. But this tensegrity, this tension and compression helps them to stay together. So it's very much like the fascial tissue. Now the fascial tissue wraps around every ligament, tendon, organ, nerve, your brain, your heart, your digestive system, it's everywhere. So I'm gonna start with just that. It's literally like underneath your skin. So if this is our skin, there's the fascia, right? Okay, but it's bags upon bags upon bags. Now here the fascia wraps up your bicep, your tricep, your thighs, the whole body. Okay, it's even deeper than that. And then it goes from just wrapping up to around every cell. It's inside your body. And so it's like little tiny pockets holding your entire body together. And so it's all the way down to the cellular level. It's also around, it's the sheath that forms your nerves. It has 600 to 1,000 times more nerve endings in it than any other tissue in the body. So it's super connected to your brain. So you see it's like this internet highway that is going, what is happening on the outside of us and what's happening on the inside of us. And so, so it's literally the structure, and it's the glue, and it's the internet highway, and it helps with blood flow and oxygen. It's just giving information all the time. So it helps us move. And when it's in a healthy state, it's hydrated, and it helps us move in all ways, right? It's like flowing with us. It's moist. It's very stringy and all that stuff. When we get injured physically or we're stressed emotionally, it locks up. So if you have a fascial impingement somewhere, and let's say it's in your hip or something, it changes the whole structure of your body. It's not like, oh, I just, my hip's hurting or whatever. Usually, let's say the hip's hurting, but you're feeling it all in your shoulders and your back or your feet or whatever, because it literally changes your whole body structure. It is not detected on MRIs, CAT scans, or x-rays and things like that. So that's why it gets misdiagnosed so much. So it changes. So to release a fascial area, you gotta look globally, because the point of injury, like, oh, my hip hurts or my piriformis hurts, it's somewhere else, because we are a complete full system all the way down to the cellular structure, if you can think of that. Wow. So because it's so connected to our thoughts, and because it has so much nerve ending, if we get injured, it goes like a human Band-Aid around the injury. If we're emotionally upset, which usually go hand in hand, it tightens up. I've had people come in my office that literally were walking with a cane because they are paralyzed from the top, the body, because the tissue is going, oh my God, we are in fight or flight, right? And so that's what the fascial tissue, and that's how it holds. There's a lot more to holding a memory, and I could talk forever, but if that helps you to kind of understand a little bit more.
That helps. You can leave those there.
Okay.
In case we have to refer to those later.
Okay, real quickly. Back in the day, when I'm a fitness director and I'm stretching people, I'm like, stretch. Bounces right back, right? You could stretch someone, it goes right back. How when I worked on, do you mind me telling her foot, right? Yeah. We go slow, because the fascial tissue needs to go slow, and it needs to feel safe, and then it will make, the viscosity of it will change, and it will come into more balance and harmony. Quick. Great, it gets you for a little bit, but it's a very, very sensitive. I always say I'm wooing the fascia, right? I turn on nice music. I'm like, hello, fascia. So that's fascia.
That's awesome. I really like the props. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Tara, in your bio, you mentioned functional fitness. What does that mean?
So functional fitness would be using exercises that would help us perform better in like daily life, like basic things like a squat, a row, something that would help you move better in our body's natural state. So like examples, like you would get up every day, like from a chair, like standing up. So that would be like a squat, or like pulling groceries, that would be like a row. There are exercises like machines that are non-functional, and that would be something like in the gym, the inner outer thigh, that would be considered a non-functional exercise, or a tricep kickback, something like that. So I like using those exercises just because they help us move better, more in our natural state. And as we get older, it like, you know, we're not as flexible, and it's just, I just think it's better to do like full body movement like that.
Chrissy, there's all the buzz about intermittent fasting right now. Can you speak a little bit about intermittent fasting?
I get that question all the time. I just gave a
I'm sure Lisa's
presentation.
interested too.
I gave a presentation actually recently, and that was the first question. So, have any of you tried intermittent fasting here before? Okay.
I only can do it intermittently.
And then I start doing one and two.
Yeah, it's not for
When I'm sleeping, right?
And there's different types of intermittent fasting. The most common one is time-restricted eating, where, for example, roughly between 12 and 18 hours a day where you go without eating. So say, for example, you finish dinner at 7 o'clock at night, then the first time that you eat again is at 7 a.m. in the morning or later. There are some benefits to that, although some more research is still needed. One of the great benefits is that it might make your metabolism more efficient, which is wonderful. Keep a note though that intermittent fasting isn't for everybody. It does work for some people, such as, for example, Alzheimer's patients, and I work in that area as well, where we help reverse, either reverse Alzheimer's or prevent or delay the onset of Alzheimer's. And there's a program of actually a physician out in California, Dr. Dale Bredesen, who's very fascinating. He's an MD and also a researcher who's come out with this program that not treating the symptom like medication, not that I'm against medication, but he's all about trying to find all the different possible causes that's affecting somebody's brain health. He's got many books out, highly recommend him. But for Alzheimer's disease, what they say is that that intermittent fasting is important. So that 12 to 16-hour window or fast is important. And what that also does is it allows our body to kind of like cleanse itself, the brain to kind of cleanse itself too. And I think the important thing too is that most of us eat 24/7. So it's good to have that window of at least, I would say at least 10 hours. If you can, 12 hours is great, but it isn't for everybody. So for example, I work with athletes. And I have this one athlete who's an ultra endurance athlete, and so he likes to go on his super long runs first thing in the morning, and he's intermittent fasting, and he'll message me and he'll say, you know, why is it that I feel like I'm going to pass out, I get very lightheaded, dizzy? I'm like, you probably don't want to intermittent fast if you're going to run like a 10-mile run, right? So for athletes, probably not a good idea. And then also for people that have blood sugar challenges like diabetes, I wouldn't say intermittent fasting is good for them either. And also, like, for some people, they enjoy breakfast, and so I would say then don't do it. You can try it, but I think just being more aware of, you know, allowing yourself a good 8 to 10 hour fast, and if you can do it, 12 to 18 hours. 18 hours is kind of pushing it, but I mean 12 I think is good. But yeah, just try it, see if you like it. It's not for everybody, but there are some benefits to it. I can't do it, but
For Kristen, what does the word Reiki stand for, and what is it?
Okay, so Reiki is a Japanese, it was art form of healing, but really Rei means God's knowledge, or universal wisdom, and Ki means life energy. So basically you're asking the very essence of life to come in and do the healing. And it's kind of, I tell people, we're going to move your body, and there's scientific stuff that we're doing, you know, with the fascia and all that. When we go in and we do Reiki, we're calming the body down. We're asking, you know, with my hands, with my intentions. Intentions are huge. For me, for my practice, Reiki is very much a connection to God and coming through. Maybe we don't understand, maybe we can't wrap our head around it, because it's probably, to me, the most profound healing I'll see in my practice. And people have profound experiences, which, again, I could go on and on, but it's really cool because it's taking that wonder and mystery of life, that we have a creator, and we're asking for that creator to come in and do the healing. And people are, sometimes they shake because they're releasing tension, sometimes they cry unexpectedly, sometimes they have like, oh my gosh, you know, I had this thought, I had this feeling, or they'll feel darkness leave them, or anything, like darkness is stuck energy. So it's really, really beautiful and powerful, and I definitely give credit, God credit for that. So that's what Reiki is for my practice, at least.
Awesome. Tara, what is the #1 fitness fallacy in our culture today?
I would say that muscle weighs more than fat. You always hear people say that, and it's simply not true. I mean, so 5 pounds is 5 pounds. So whether you have 5 pounds of muscle, 5 pounds of fat, still 5 pounds. Muscle is more dense, so it takes up less space. Fat might be more fluffy, so it takes up more space. I think when you say that to someone, especially a woman, she gets on the scale after 2 weeks of training, oh, you gained muscle. It's impossible to gain 5 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks, especially for a woman, So a lot of times it could be a lot of other factors, but I think that would be the one I would think of the most, I was thinking of the question though, because that's always been a fallacy, but in 2023, if I thought of what's today, I think there's no one size fits all for any person ever. There's no cookie cutter diet, no cookie cutter workout. So it's, you see these, oh, this worked for my best friend, this might not work for you. So I think it should be a little more customized, whatever you're doing. And, one person might enjoy walking and that's how they're gonna get to their goal. One person might enjoy running, so there's just no one way of doing anything. So I would think that would be probably today you see so many of these like this is the way, and it's not always that, so that would be the.
Awesome. Okay, Chrissy, can you speak a little bit about portion control? Because it just, I heard one nutritionist say, the size of the chicken breast should be the size of your fist or something. Do you have some practical tools and some things? Because it has just gotten so out of whack, to speak about a little bit of portion control.
What's interesting too about portion control is if you think about your average size dinner plate from the 1950s to the 2023, the plates have gotten larger. You go out for a glass of wine, a typical serving size of wine is a 5-ounce glass of wine. I went out with some girlfriends to a restaurant one night, and I like 5 ounces, I can't drink that much. And their portions are 10 ounces, and I'm like, I don't want 10 ounces, I want 5 ounces. So, but most places are 10 ounces, which is actually 2 glasses of wine. So just be careful about that. So portion sizes are getting larger. I like what that person said, the dietitian said about using your own hand. Our own hands are designed for our own bodies when it comes to portion sizes. So usually I would say if you had a plate in front of you, and if you're looking to, maintain your weight, I would say divide your plate into thirds. So a third vegetable, a third protein, a third starch. If you want to lose weight or your calorie needs aren't as great, half your plate vegetables, a quarter protein, a quarter starch. And you can use your own palm, for example, or fist. So protein is about the size of your open palm. For women, about 3 to 4 ounces. For men, 4 to 6 ounces. Anything over that, the body usually can't digest at one time. So for protein, there's so many benefits to protein, but if it's not used for that moment, it can easily be converted to fat. So that's why going out to dinner and having a 20-ounce piece of steak is not a good idea either, because a lot of that protein is going to be converted to fat too. So portion awareness is so important. Trying to gain weight, not that many people, but a lot of athletes that I work with want to gain weight. So half their plate starches or carbohydrates, quarter protein, quarter vegetable. And when it comes to starches or carbs or vegetables, starchy foods like carbohydrates, about a fist size is a good amount. If you're trying to gain weight, 2 fist size. If you want to lose weight, half a fist. Protein stays the same. Vegetables, really trying to increase vegetables too. Obviously the average person when it comes to fruits and vegetables get in about 1 or 2. Usually it's potatoes and French fries, doesn't really count as vegetables. Wishful thinking. But vegetables, and there are some people that recommend 9 to 13 servings a day, which is a lot.
Wow.
I would say wherever you're at now, double that, striving for 5 a day. Fruit, about 2 to 4 a day. And the serving size, again, is about a fistful. So just kind of keeping that good plate visual in mind. I'm not a calorie counter, a macro counter when I work with people. It's all about keeping it simple, attainable, and I'm just using that plate guide as a good footprint then to build upon.
Awesome. Kristen, how can we best stay balanced at our mind, body, and spirit?
Oh boy. So I was thinking of that too. I'm like, that's another, I'm sure all of our topics we could go on and on. So feel your feelings, and feel them. And it's fine. So you want to feel your feelings, because a lot of times when we don't feel or process our feelings, that's really where illness and disease start to become stuck in us. And it's true, and that's scientific and all that stuff. So really, feeling your feelings. Now, how do you do that without writing a story, right? How do you do that to feel, but don't take yourself back to the trauma? And that's really, I think this is a really key part of moving forward, is you want to feel your feelings and you want to acknowledge them. You want to give yourself compassion. A lot of doctors I follow, a lot of neurologists, this is all scientific based. So it's not just like, oh, just feel your feelings. Feel your feelings, acknowledge them. Say hello, you can give them a name, something like that. Give yourself compassion for what you've gone through. Thank them, because feelings and emotions are here to teach you something. And then, and only then, thank you so much, you surrender them, show them to the door, show them to the light, show them to a star, whatever works for you. So passing your feelings through is a very important part, I believe, of being well balanced. Obviously exercise, obviously nutrition, those are obvious ones of being well balanced. Quieting your mind, 100%, top of my list, sitting in quiet, doing Insight Timer, doing any kind of apps that you want, any kind of meditation, just sitting in silence and just putting on like quiet, what they call frequency vibrational music to bring your brain down. When we're not thinking, we are healing. When we are in our beta brainwave with state, it's like, oh my gosh, we are in a theta brainwave state. Are we more receptive to healing? Are we more receptive to changing our ways and our subconscious mind? So I would say, feel your feelings, be active like these girls, eating and exercising, and then quieting and meditation, top of my list. So then meditation would be spiritual, right? Because we're, just sitting in silence and asking. I always ask for my highest good. And then the other two, so feeling.
Awesome. Tara, what is the key to our fitness in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, beyond? Like, give us like the nuggets. We have all different ages in this room.
I would say consistency, and also finding something that you love and enjoy doing, and then trying to do it, every day. Obviously people change. I mean, if I was a cocktail waitress at 20 years old and I was on my feet running, 8 hours a day, and then now I'm 30, I have 2 kids, I'm sitting at a desk, obviously things change, right? So my metabolism might be a little bit slower each decade, so I have to adjust things. Like I might have to go on walks or something on my lunch break, or add some cardio or something, because I'm not doing what I was doing when I was 20. I do think things do change. Obviously every 10 years we change. So it would be just really finding what works for you and you enjoy, and that would work for your schedule. But I do believe, just because I know from my own experience of getting older, like I have had to adjust things through the years, whether I adjusted my diet a little, or, and I don't want to call it diet, but maybe, I'm more aware of certain things, or I make it a priority to get up if I have to, maybe 30 minutes early just to, hike or something. So I would say each decade try to make those adjustments and just find something that you love doing and be consistent.
Great. Okay, this will be a question for all panelists, so just take your time to answer it, and then we'll move on to the next one with the same question. What does a typical client look like, so that maybe somebody here might be able to be like, oh yes, that fits with me, or, I mean, you probably have a wide range, I understand that, but maybe a typical client, and if you could speak to that.
Sure. Gosh, I see so many different people, but I'm trying to focus more so. So,
or just give us a range then if you have.
Sure. I would say, a typical client definitely is somebody that is committed and focused to wanting to make a change. I know earlier on in my career, I would take like anybody and everybody, because I love helping people, but often what I found was that people just weren't quite ready to make that change. So now I make sure that I meet with them first, like a 15-20 minute introduction session, learn more about what their goals are, and explain my philosophy to them, and to see that if we would be a good fit, and to kind of gauge their how ready they are to make that change. But typical client right now for me, I work primarily with athletes and executives, and really trying, I mean, a lot of them really want to just improve their performance. For athletes, even for executives, they want to perform better at work. They want to have more of that health both at home and at work, and just to help their performance. But athletes in particular, all different athletes, all different ages, levels, and again, a lot of them are really looking for the latest and greatest thing that's going to be very personalized for them to help them meet their goals. So that I would say those are the two populations that I work with, but I also do coaching and consulting at different organizations in town. So one area that I work with a lot is also people that are recovering from different substances, whether that be drugs, alcohol, food. I have a big passion area in that particular area, and also do Alzheimer's stuff. So I work with a functional medicine doctor in Old Town Scottsdale, where we do specialization in helping people that have been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, dementia, or those people that might have it in their family that want to prevent themselves from getting it or delay the onset of Alzheimer's. So that's another area that I work in. So.
I have so many questions for you.
Kristen, typical client or range of clients.
So kind of like Chrissy, I started out just taking everyone and working on the body, and it slowly starts to almost come to you what you're supposed to do. So, and I've worked with professional athletes, and I've worked with osteopaths, and I've worked also with counselors. So my typical client now is anyone who is in physical pain and cannot figure it out. I get a lot of people who are ready to get surgery, but nobody can figure out what is going on. And so we figure that out, and that's very helpful. And so I work with physical pain. I work with a lot of illnesses, cancer, dementia, any type of anything that's going on in the body. I help the body kind of, it's like all this goes together, coming back into homeostasis. And then that helps with that type of illness. And then I work with a lot of emotional issues and people who have lost people who have been in counseling their whole lives and cannot figure out why they are so depressed or anxious, and the body keeps a score. And again, I could talk, all of us probably could talk for hours on our topics, but so then I even work with a local counselor in Phoenix who sends people. So I work with people who are in pain physically or emotionally, and they, like I said, they go hand in hand. I'm also intuitive, which adds a little twist to everything because I can read the body, I can read the tissue, I know what's going on, I know what's going, like someone be like, my shoulder hurts, and I'm like, okay. Then we start to dissect, when did this happen? Well, it happened 15 years ago, or I don't know what happened. So there's an emotional component to it, or is there a structural component? And then the body talks to me and tells me things, and it's pretty freaky to people, but it's super, it's actually interesting. They're like, huh, what, how'd you know that? Well, your body's telling me, and I feel like, it's kind of this God and body kind of come together, and they show me, I see visions and all that stuff. I hear words, and so it really is super powerful in helping people to connect body-mind. Again, mind, body, mind, all one word. So that's kind of my typical person. Just people who can't figure out why they are sick or ill or hurting, either way, emotionally, physically. So I'm kind of a specialist in that, So.
And mine, I would say, is almost the opposite. It would be more like a wide range of people I've worked with. Everyone, male, female. I would say I wouldn't work with somebody who does have like injuries, or like someone elderly that has like special, like knee replacement, or so. I wouldn't be able to work with someone like that. But I mean, I've trained like bikini competitors, like men, women. I wouldn't train like a bodybuilder, like a huge guy that's, way bigger than me, something. So mainly, I think it's the same. Over the years, you've worked with everyone, but you have a passion for a certain type of person. You just click. That would be probably the type, and they're professional. I mean, if somebody's going to pay for training, typically it's, they are professional, or it might be a mom, maybe their husband's paying for it, who knows? There's all types of different people. And I think I've worked with like many, so I wouldn't say there's like one type.
Can you give us a success story of a patient that has come, a client that has come to you and you're just like, this person is just
Ready.
just feels so much better from of working with each one of you in your professions.
Probably two that kind of stick out, but one's an athlete, one's a lady that was wanting to lose weight. I'll kind of share her story because I think it's amazing. She was referred to me by one of my colleagues and friends who's a PA in town in her own practice. And when she went to get her annual visit, she met with a different doctor at the practice. And poor girl she felt like she was very much overweight. Her blood sugar was high, cholesterol was high, and the doctor was like, I think it's best to put you on blood and cholesterol lowering medication, medication to help bring down blood sugars. And I give her a lot of credit. And she said to him, she's like, I really want to eat better, exercise before I do medication. So they referred her to me, and this lady was really motivated, so I give her a lot of credit. She grew up a yo-yo dieter, had an eating disorder when she was younger, didn't want to do a quick fix. So we worked together for about 3 months. She bought, at the time it was my biggest program, and she bought my biggest program of 3 months. And to see her change, and she broke down numerous times when I was working with her because she felt so good. And she went back and she went to see her doctor, and they drew all of her blood work again. Blood sugar was amazing, cholesterol was amazing. Now she's running again, running half marathons, and she's in her mid-50s, and she looks amazing. She feels amazing too. So I love sharing her story because I'm I just love that, because medication's fine, but if a doctor doesn't also encourage somebody to make that lifestyle change through food, exercise, stress management, getting better sleep, I have really no respect for that. So I think it's that integrative approach where address lifestyle behaviors first, and if the person needs medication after that, by all means, I do support that. But I love sharing your story. It's so uplifting.
I love that story.
Yes.
Kristen.
Felt great. My big aha, I was shaking for days, it will come up, and then I'll just do another one, but it's so fun. Okay, so this one was a young woman. She was around 26, and she was in the Mayo Hospital because she was pretty much paralyzed from, it was starting to creep up into her face, but from her shoulders down. And in Mayo Clinic for 2 weeks, nobody could find anything. And it was very terrifying for her. And so then after she left Mayo, she went for a month into rehab, physical therapy. Nobody could help her. So this is this is what she looked like after I saw her for a month and a half. She's 26, and her dad had to bring her, and she walked with a cane, and her body barely moved, and she was like this, and all just almost locked. And I was like, oh boy. So sit down, talk with her, and all that stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is what I can do for you, and this is what you're here for. And so we talked and got her on the table, did the fascial stretch, did the Reiki, we did a lot of counseling, because I'm a grief and trauma holistic certified counselor. So we did all that stuff, and so got her on the table, did all that stuff. I worked on her for about an hour and a half. All the messages, right? I told you I was intuitive. I'm like, this is going on, this is going on. She's like, I said, and I do a lot of breath work. Breathe in, love for yourself, breathe out. Breath work, calming the body down. We want the fascial tissue to open. A lot of this stuff happened. Well, she fell asleep because Reiki is very calming and very healing. So I'm like, So I'm waiting for her in the waiting room. I'm like, oh, where is she? So I go in there, I'm like, oh, excuse me, it's time to wake up. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. She gets up, she goes, oh my gosh. She starts grabbing her stuff, and she runs into my bathroom. And she goes, oh, she goes, I go to your dad's here, and she goes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I fell asleep. I go, look at you. She goes, what? And then she went like this, and she went to go grab her cane, and I kicked it. Oh no, we're not going there. And so I kicked, and I go, and she was shaking, and I was shaking, and I was like, oh my gosh. That is what I'm talking about. Integrative therapy. It was everything coming together. What was going on in her life. Thoughts. Every cell in your body listens to your thoughts. I'm not going to go anywhere in life. I'm never going to leave my parents' house. Are my boyfriend and I going to be together? Or are we going to break up? I'll never make enough money. I don't know how to support myself. The fascial tissue was going, I hear you. So that to me, I'm like, you go and you tell Mayo Clinic and you give them my card. Because you know, poor girl had been, so that was the big, like, I was shaking, because I really, honestly, on that was divine intervention. I'm sorry, that was like unexplainable. So that was one. And another one was a woman who had been in counseling for 30 years, and she had had 31 operations, brain tumors all the way down to her feet. No memory of her childhood at all. So she's been working with counselors, right? She goes, I don't know why my body is falling apart. The body keeps the score. 100%, that's a book by a psychiatrist from Harvard, you know, so he's a doctor. And so anyway, so she comes to me and she's like, I can't figure out why I'm falling apart. And I'm like, okay, so here we go. This is what I do. And she's like, okay, this is what my counselor said you do. So we start, and her body started talking, and she started getting memories, and we started putting together the pieces of the puzzle. And the cool thing was that, and I'll stop soon, but she had chronic diarrhea for 10 years. So 10 years, 7 times a day, day and night. After that, one treatment, and I'm saying divine guidance again, I cannot give credit where credit is due. Completely diarrhea free. And then so her second treatment with me, all of a sudden she's feeling joyful. So it was so cute. She calls me on the phone, she's like, hey Kristen. And I was like, yeah? She goes, I'm driving down the road and I'm singing to a song and I feel joyful. And I'm like, yeah? She goes, am I schizophrenic? I go, why would you say that? And she goes, because I've never felt this way before. And I said, no, you're healing. And she has been, you know, she comes to me all the time now. People come to me like they would a regular counselor because they want to feel so good. And I go, no, enjoy it. She's like, this is weird. So she's on a whole new path, and that's pretty typical of my of clients who come to me. It's like the body keeps the score. And so those are two that I just always go, aw. So,
All right, Tara.
My favorite story is this. I had a lady years ago. I was training her at a studio I worked at, and she went through a divorce, and we worked out for probably about 2 years, and she lost 50 pounds. And then she met a guy at the same gym who lost 100 pounds. He was working with a guy. So those two, she was divorced, so those two ended up getting married. They're still married to this day, which is crazy because they met at the gym. And so they got married. Then after she lost the weight, like a couple of years went by, and I had been competing at that time, and she wanted to do a competition, a fitness competition. And by this time she was even, a little bit older. So I trained her again to do that competition. Then she actually won. It was like 3rd place or something, but she won the award, and I was actually working the event, giving her award. So it was like the most amazing thing. We have a photo of it. Yeah, so that was like one of my favorite stories because it was pretty amazing.
I love that.
So, yeah.
All right, let's open it up to questions from the audience. You can, a question for all of them or ask somebody individually. And we're going to be quiet up here. Thank you for that.
Awesome question. After you do your fasting, what would that first meal look like?
Everything you get your hands on.
Yeah, right. That's what you want to do, right?
Yeah,
so,
sure, which you don't want to do.
Right, yeah.
So I always encourage balance. So, getting in a good source of protein, a good fiber-rich food, whether that be vegetable, fruit, some kind of whole grain, good fats too, preferably like avocado, olive oil, grass-fed butter is fine too. But just a balanced plate, lots of color. Because the balanced plate thought too is that it helps your body be more metabolically active too. If you fast and you eat donuts and soda, it's not going to help you. Right. So I'm not against donuts. Like one donut, maybe some eggs with it. But just getting a balanced plate after that too is really important.
So I'll piggyback on that a little bit. A lot of people in this room and all over are busy. Mm-hmm. So your beautiful plate with your 3 quarters or 4 quarters, you know what I mean, is not possible. So speaking vitamins, supplements, any recommendations, powders, again.
When it comes to supplements,
and brands.
Oh, brands.
Yeah, what would you recommend for people that are never have quiet time? Maybe one of them, and just do things 100 miles an hour, but want to stay, nutrition.
Yeah, and I work at a golf and country club here, and one of the gals up there who leads their hikes and things, I asked her because she's very similar like that, where she's always on the go, doesn't have time to cook and make a meal. And so I tried the protein powder, and I love trying different things, and I'm drawing a blank on the name, but it's like Kachava, I think it's called. It comes in all these different flavors. It's plant-based. It's loaded with like probiotics, prebiotics, fruits, vegetables. It tastes really good. It's very balanced. You do 2 scoops of it. It's just like 25 grams of protein, fiber, all that good stuff. If you like shakes like that, that's one that I like. When it comes to like supplements, you want that question too? Like
Sure,
supplements?
it's fruits and vegetables are hard for a lot of people,
Sure.
and not everyone loves them
Sure.
either.
You know, there's a lot of benefits to fruits and vegetables. I mean, fiber fuels your good gut bacteria, and our health begins in the gut. So when you have a healthier gut, healthier body, physically and mentally. So I'm a big proponent of getting your fruits and vegetables in from whole food sources. V8 juice is fine. Veggie juice is fine too. There are some products out there like a superfood greens product too that might have some additional vegetables. When it comes to vitamin and mineral supplements, I'm very much, I mean, this is kind of where my functional dietitian kind of comes out. I believe that all of us are very unique individuals. So to get a good idea of what your body is or where it's at right now, there's a great blood test, simple blood test, that will give you a great outline of showing you where your foundation is in terms of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, omega-3, omega-6s. Omega-3s and omega-6s are very important for showing your body how much inflammation that you have. And then once you get that done, then you can really tailor certain vitamins and minerals to whatever your body needs. So that's just one thing that I like to do. But I would say in terms of brands, I think if you can go to your healthcare professional, I know those lines are usually better, or going to like a Sprouts or Whole Foods, I think they're also better than going to your pharmacy or Costco. There's an online program or website, and I'm drawing up, it's called consumerlab.com, and you can see if your supplements right now are on that list. That list will tell you if there are any contaminants in that product. And I know years ago there was a Costco fish oil that was tested to have high levels of contaminants on that website, so Costco quickly pulled that fish oil. But I think it's really important that where you buy your supplements, you want to buy from a very reputable source. So one of my favorites, which is the one that I take, Thorne Research. They're a great company. Pure Encapsulations is another really good one.
What was that second one?
Pure Encapsulations.
White and blue bottles.
Yes. Yeah.
But they're not at Sprouts and all that stuff.
No, they're like online or going to a healthcare provider. Yeah.
What was the website that you said?
Oh, consumerlab.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as like collagen or like, there's a lot of influencers pushing like Athletic Greens.
Oh,
like
I love that one.
particular-
Yeah.
You do
That's
love
a great
it?
one. I love that.
Whenever I look at those though, they're always like, and I just even looked at that Kachava, it's like $60, like for a 30-day supply. It
I
just
know.
seems so
It's expensive. It is expensive. Yeah.
Like
It
when
is.
you're doing collagen, like that Modir, I looked up at $60. Athletic Greens, it's around 60. This
Right.
Kachava, it's just this like,
So kind of pick and choose like what you want to spend your money on. As far as Athletic Greens, what's great about it, some people don't like supplements to swallow. That one you just it's just powder and you just add water to it, and it's got everything in it. I do like that one.
Athletic Green.
Yeah.
Doesn't it have an odd flavor though? Like, so you can get accustomed to the flavor of it. I've watched.
I've heard mixed thoughts about that. Yeah. There's actually a local company here. One of my friends, dietitian, a friend of mine who creates supplements too. It's called VFV, and it's gosh, what's the company's name? I'm drawing a blank. Vital Body is what the name is, and it's like Athletic Greens, but it tastes really good. And I think it's less than $60. But they're local. They're in Gilbert. And it's called VFV, and it comes in a powder, and it tastes delicious. Yeah, so that one I like too.
And this one's for Kristen. How do you figure out, if people are coming in and saying, I have pain in my shoulder, how do you figure out the real source of the problem?
That's a great question. So you do kind of you look at them as they walk in. You know, you observe their posture,
Did you look at all of us when we walked in?
Are you dragging your leg?
And you look at where, like, the hip, you know, how the body's holding it. A lot of times it's here, the tension's here, and then when you get on on the table, I just have them relax, right? And then I just pull the tissue, and you can kind of, because this is what I do for a living, you can feel where it's getting stuck. So those are the areas that I work on. So a lot of times people are like, oh, my shoulder. A lot of times it can come from hands being, a carpal tunnel type thing, like a shortness of the muscle. Forward flex, they're on the computer all day long. This is all contracted, this is all extended, right? Hunched over, this is extended, this is contracted. Anytime our body is in balance. So you kind of look at them physically, you test the tissue, and then you start to open up. Super important thing, and even for self-healing for yourself, is to relax into your stretches and breathe with them. Because we want that fascial tissue to open up so that you come back. Again, remember the tensegrity. We want the body to come back. So even in your own, helping yourself, I tell my clients, breathe in, exhale, relax into it. Hold for like 2 to 3 minutes, relaxing and breathing. That's why yin yoga is really good. Yin yoga is a really great way to open the body up and with the breath. So that's how I would know. I just listen to the body and I think 9 times, no, I shouldn't say that. A lot of times it's contraction in the front because we're so forward flex. We drive, we got the phone, we talk, we sit, we sleep. Tight, 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 tight. Okay, the fascial tissue tightens up around repetitive movements, even sitting, and this is a repetitive movement. So then I would open up the chest to release the shoulder, right? And then I would get the lats sometimes get all. So we look globally. Here's the pain, but we're going to release around it, and then pretty soon the pain will go away. Plus, we'll do some trigger release. That's like pressing on the area, but it's almost like becoming a detective, asking yourself. I always tell my clients, ask yourself what you do every day. How is your body? Is it sitting? Is it standing? Are you hunched over? Are you sleeping? Are you this? And 9 times out of 10, that's going to help you to discover what's going on. Are you weak in your hamstrings? Are you over strengthened in your quads, weak in the hamstrings, and your inner thighs? Things like that. That's really going to help. Again, think balance. Just keep thinking balance. What do I do most of the day? How can I come back? And that will help you too with figuring out what's going on. But yeah, it's mostly just repetitive movements, and then tension and emotion get stuck in those areas that we are tight in. So it's kind of a whole systems thing. I hope did that help you a little bit? So bring the
I was just kind of interested in your process. So.
Yeah. Seeing where, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kind of playing off the whole systems thing. I'm sure each of you deals with the topic of inflammation a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about how, from each of your expert areas, kind of how you approach inflammation and what you've seen with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, for me, from a nutrition perspective, really getting a good idea of somebody's medical and nutrition history, taking a thorough 3-day food record on each client, seeing what they're eating. I also address their hydration levels, supplementation, sleep, stress, nutrition, of course, gut health too. A lot of our inflammation begins in the gut too. So if the person needs additional testing, I'll do different gut health tests, like stool studies, to see kind of what the bacteria looks like in the gut. I'll be able to address if they have leaky gut syndrome. I know when I had a client of mine years ago, and she said her naturopath diagnosed her with leaky gut. I was like, what is leaky gut? That sounds so crazy. But there is actually leaky gut syndrome now, where in your digestive tract there are these tight junctions that are meant to keep the nutrients in. But due to inflammation, these tight junctions open up, so the nutrition goes through your gut instead of being thoroughly passed through, which helps with metabolism and all that sort. So there is a leaky gut syndrome out there. So I'll kind of dive deeper into that. And for some of these people, they probably usually do need more testing. They might also need vitamin and mineral testing too, to see if their bodies are able to absorb what they are taking in. Food sensitivities too is another test that I can also see, because certain foods might cause inflammation too for them. So it can be very complex, maybe even like mold testing. It's amazing how many people have mold. I had one client years ago. She's a nurse practitioner and diehard exercise enthusiast, ate very well, and she was not able to lose weight. And so we did some mold testing on her, and her mold levels were sky high, and that's what prevented her from losing weight. So it's really taking that really functional approach, looking at what the root cause of what's causing their symptoms. Mercury too, or heavy metal testing, mercury, arsenic. One of my friends, a therapist friend of mine, who heavily, like in the past, she would go out for sushi for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner pretty much, and she wasn't feeling well. She went to her doctor, got a blood test. She had high levels of arsenic from the rice and mercury from all the fish she was eating. So just be careful with that too. But yeah, it's tricky.
How do you test for that? Do you do the hair testing for the?
There are some hair testing, blood testing too. Yeah.
What do you think's more accurate?
I like blood. Yeah. A SIBO too is also very common. SIBO, which is small intestinal bowel overgrowth, and that's through you like breathe through a device, and if you breathe two different types of gases and it comes out positive, and then you've got SIBO, and that's pretty common too. And a lot of that could be from stress or food supply, using too many antibiotics. Or the antibiotics are great because they kill whatever is bothering you, but they also take out all the good bacteria too. So yeah, it's pretty complex.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, like, from a fitness perspective, you can, if you overtrain, it can cause inflammation in the body as well. So sometimes women are obsessed with, maybe they're running or doing high intensity training, so now they have inflammation, they're not losing weight, and they might need to do something more calming, like a yoga or something like that. And so just cut back on the training because it's causing inflammation in the body. It's stress basically in your body.
So yeah, so again, we're a system, we're body, mind, spirit. So yes, I'm always telling people, like, take a look at your gut health. The gut-brain connection is massive, and then obviously overtraining. So in my line of work, overtraining will inflame the fascial tissue. Food allergies inflame the fascial tissue, and stress inflames the fascial tissue. So I love Dr. Mark Hyman. He's a functional medicine doctor. I follow him all the time. He talks about SIBO. I've had a lot of clients with SIBO, things like that. And it literally, you can eat so healthy, you can exercise so well, but if that stress is still changing the ecosystem of your body, then it comes back to that mind-body again. It should be one word: body, mind, body. So looking at a systems approach is, and anything I feel is good. Look at well-rounded for your health.
Like balance.
Yeah.
And I hope medicine's going that direction rather than just treat the symptom, because if you treat the symptom, it's a Band-Aid for what's really going on. And I have my own personal stories of that, which is why I got into functional medicine. Yeah.
And even with people with same thing, they'll come and they're like, my shoulder's hurting. Okay, so we fix it. Boom, it's back. Boom, it's back. Boom, it's back. I'm like, gosh, what are you stressing about? Like, honestly, they're like, huh? I'm like, no, there is something that you're holding on to. So same thing. We gotta treat the whole body, mind and spirit, you know what I mean? Because it'll bounce right back. And it's until we come to that place of homeostasis, kind of, bringing this whole body back together of who we are. We're walking around in here all the time. And we gotta remember we are much more. Yeah.
How can the audience reach out to each one of you guys? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Sure. I have my card too. I can pass that out. But phone is great. 480-332-8127. My website is probably the best. It's epicbiologynutrition.com is my website, and there's a little place on that website where you can like send me questions and things of that sort too.
I have a card as well, and we actually, I just moved a year ago with my husband because this therapy is so profound in my opinions of that. We actually are opening a place for people to come. So I still have Phoenix people coming. We're up in Camp Verde, but also creating a place to come and stay for healing if you want, because getting out of the city and things like that. So it's wellbalancefarm.com, and we have alpacas, and so it's this whole healing place. But still, pop in, come up. It's an hour, 20 minutes away or so from here, I think. And so texting and leaving your name and number, and I usually try to get back to people in the evenings when I'm off work, so yeah.
And I have a card too. I'll get mine out too. You passed yours earlier. Yeah, I'll pass mine as well.
I have a question for Kristen. Do you work a lot with people with anxiety? I have a friend who is going to counselors and doctors, and she just seems to be medically treated, and I think your business would be really beneficial for her, because I think it's more than giving her a drug here and there, and I think she really needs to just let
Yeah.
go.
I have to, I mean, it's so funny to say, it's just such a wide, who I see, anyone who's in their body's in distress physically or emotionally, but yes, depression, anxiety, suicidal people, people who've grieving, lost loved ones, the body gets out of balance, and we keep so much of that stress, so they will sense a sense of lightness, a sense of newness. I hear this all the time, a sense of like they can finally get above the clouds, right, of their, so a lot of times they decrease their meds. I will never touch that with them. I always say go to your doctor, but 9 times out of 10 they're coming off their meds, they're not needing so much stuff. So again, this systems approach, you can talk to the cows come home to your counselor if you don't deal with all 3 aspects of what we represent here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And sleep too. Sleep is so important. It's a whole other topic about sleep.
Question about walking versus running, I guess, is, how much is enough? I mean, I've always been, my knees just have to take a lot of impact, let's just say. And I'm, in the last couple of years, I got down 70, now I'm down 50 from my high point, because I found out I had 11.1 A1C, so I had to address that, to live or not live. And now I'm having trouble getting back motivated, because for the first 6 months, people say, how did you lose 70 pounds in 6 months? It's because I took a piece of paper and wrote down everything I love to eat, and I bundled it up and said, no, I can't eat that anymore. So, but now I have pizza now. Now I like to get back to pizza. Now I'm slowly gaining back. So I'm trying to figure out, how much exercise work. I can't run, but I'm trying to walk like 2 to 3 miles, probably 5 days a week. And I've just started trying to spend a little time on the TRX to just do a little muscle. What else would make sense to look at adding to that?
I think that's a good start. I mean, the recommendation is 150 minutes of exercise a week. That's so that's only 20 minutes
That's 30
a
minutes,
day.
5 days a week.
Like 22 minutes a day if you did every day, but say you did 3 days a week, it would be 50 minutes. I always like to use that number because it kind of makes sense if you think about it. And I think that's a great start, walking. I mean, if you walked 20 minutes a day, I think that's wonderful. I don't think it's like you have to give up pizza, like you say, but I don't think you should eat a whole pizza either, right?
My fitness plan shouldn't be fitness pizza now, right?
So if you have some discipline, some people have discipline, some don't, so it's hard, to say, eat a slice, right? Like a small piece. But some people, if it's in front of them, they want to eat the whole thing. So that makes it hard,
Yeah.
But I would say, you have a cheat day. Maybe if you're good 75% of the time, why is that bad to have one day of cheating? It's not going to kill you, right? And you shouldn't feel bad about yourself doing that.
It's the balance, I guess, that I'm having a challenge with, because I just for 6 months I said, okay, I've played with diets in the past and lost 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and so now I felt like this was serious. And I still haven't convinced the medical community to take me off of all my meds, but I'm down into 5.7, 5.8 A1C from 11.1. But it's I'm trying to figure out how do I get remotivated, because I'm not good at the pizzas in front of me. I'm only going to have a half of a slice. I was okay when I was this is serious. I'm not having any of it. So I didn't put anything in front of myself for 6 months. But that's a hard thing to maintain.
Yeah.
That's hard to maintain.
Box of the rest
Yeah, I was
of
gonna-
away.
What's that?
Box of, take what you want to eat that day and then put the other piece
Yeah.
away.
Oh yeah,
Right
but
away.
order the small. You can do that. Order a small one, right?
Right.
Instead of a large pizza.
You get a salad on the side. There's lots of vegetables, fiber, fills you up. It's good balance too.
Yeah.
One question for Tina. Oh,
And then
sorry,
we'll
you were-
do one, yeah, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll let these ladies go on. Okay.
Krista, hyperthyroidism, it's the thyroid, it's inflamed, it's depression, suicide thoughts and all that stuff. Doctors are saying surgery. I'm against surgery, but everyone is saying just surgery will fix it.
How long have you had it?
It's not been my son.
Oh,
I
your
think
son.
he had it for the last 2 to 3 years.
And has he had he's had extensive blood work and things like that? And
Yes.
his hormones are all,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Is he a stress?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
So
So
that's
stress totally, literally 100% changes the ecosystem of our body. And so that's where, that's going to start to change everything in us. And it's a hard concept, right? But we hear stress is the 95% behind all illnesses and injuries type thing. So, calming the body down, getting the body open, getting him to a safe place, getting him to where he can process. I do teach a lot of processing on how to rethink things, how to breathe, tools on how to calm the body down, because again, this is where I'm coming from now after being in the health and wellness industry. I mean, I so appreciate this whole, again, systems approach. But from what I can do is definitely give tools. I have a lot of young kids that come to me.
Yeah.
They don't like talk. I mean, they like talk therapy, but they really don't.
Not to mom at all.
Yeah, and so they love it. They come, they feed the alpacas, they sit there, and I teach them how to breathe. They have a great time, and they go to sleep when I give them Reiki. They're just like, and all of a sudden they're just feeling better. So again, once the body can regulate and come back to homeostasis, I believe it'll help. If those thoughts start to align in a better way, then maybe that will help. And again, maybe then the doctors will say, this is what we're seeing. Because now he's not in fight or flight all the time because he's depressed or anxious. So again, the systems approach. But yes, I work with a lot of metabolical issues that no one seems to be able to fix. And that helps with reducing the stress in the body, getting the tissue to come back into, I love the word homeostasis again.
I know it all depends on the patient, but do you think it will be a long process, years, months?
So, I love that you asked that, because I think one of my biggest things is when people come in and go, here I am, fix me, and they leave. And I go, gosh, wow. Nowhere do we do that, right? Nowhere. But I love when people come, and if they can come, if they're in chronic state, and they can come once a week, if they can, every other week, maybe I'm okay with that, but for 3 to 4 times, not only can we get the body to start humming in a different way, they start to feel different and they're more motivated to go forward. And then, come until you feel, then use whatever you need to get. But I'm noticing a big, wonderful change within 3 to 4. The 5th one, I'm like, just come when you want, and then they come when they feel like they're getting back into their anxiety, depression, or their pain is coming back. So it's kind of this balance, but 3 to 4. Yeah.
Well, now I have 2 questions. To Kristen, so do you have somebody that you refer to here because you're only now in Camp Verde? So
who does what I do, or what?
Well, just because that's your only location, is that what you were saying?
It's my only location. I do virtual as well for people who want to handle stress. I don't know who does what I do, and I'm not trying to sound like...
Yeah. It's just, an hour appointment now is a 4 or 5 hour appointment because you have drive time both ways. And
absolutely. I get that call. I have a YouTube channel too, and people call me from all around.
Get an office down here.
Oh, well, that's where we just moved from. If I had $1 for every time someone said come back, but and I'm thankful for that, right? But so John Lemke is he's a fascial stretch guy, but doesn't do all this system. I mean, he's awesome, but he doesn't do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know who does what I do.
Big Road Champion Spot, go up there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And there's a winery right around the corner from us.
5 ounce pours.
I get it, and I don't know why we were so led to move up there. There's something about moving up there because my practice was thriving here, but I have to trust this journey because I think it's bigger. I think it's going to become a wellness place. Yeah, so I know.
Then my other question was for Tara. So you said you worked with that woman that you went to competition level. So, I think a lot of people as you get older don't feel like you can get really cut and things like that. So what's the methodology to take someone from just everyday exercise to being competitive or whatever? What's the difference in the makeup?
That's hard because that's the extreme, right? So
or somebody just wants to look better than you work out, but how to get it to the next level so you look
I feel, so
Okay.
I would say like, the two extremes would be that and then obesity. So somewhere in between would be balance, like a healthy lifestyle. I don't necessarily think competition is healthy. It was, I mean, I remember my hair was falling out when I was competing. I lost my tooth, like one of my caps came off one day. I'm like, what? Yeah, so I mean, it was crazy. But so that would be an extreme, and there are women of all ages doing that. Like there's women, you know, it would be a master's level where they're in their 50s. You could be 60s, if you wanted to. So it would be hard. I mean, if someone was obviously, I don't know, morbidly obese to take them to that. But someone who's indecent or they're healthy, they could still do it. It would just take time. I would say maybe 3 months or something, but it would be extremely, extremely strict. Like not the healthy form of dieting, like very unhealthy almost, you know, and she would tell you. So it would be like, to give you an idea what I would eat, I was eating like fish, like white fish, like 6 times a day with like asparagus and egg whites. And that's it. Or like, you know, maybe, I don't know, like some oatmeal with egg white, that kind of, and then you would just be eating like hardly not, you know, just to cut down and then kind of like carb back up. It's just like a whole process. But I mean, it can be done. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, lots of people can do it. I don't think age, I think it's harder when you're older. I do think that young girls competed, like say they did it once when they were maybe in their 20s or 30 and then they want to do it again. I have a friend that did it for her 50th birthday and it was harder the second time around. And her diet was, what she was doing then didn't work this time. So she had to change everything, and that's something that you will have to, but that's with everything, I feel like, and like,
Maybe
you know.
this is a better question. As you get older, what's the mix? Like, less cardio, more weight training, you know, like just to try and keep a healthy weight, because it's harder.
It's hard, but say everyone's different though. So older, I would say that you have to be active no matter what. Like I don't think that you should be inactive, right? Like, and when I say active, I don't mean like hitting the pavement. I mean just have some activity. Try to get some steps in. Like, I don't know if you wear a track, you know, like start with, I don't know, 5,000 steps, 10,000 steps. If you can get steps in and be a little more active, that's a plus. And adjust your food intake, meaning like if you used to be able to eat a pizza when you were in your 20s, you might not be able to do that when you're 50. And that's the truth, that's reality, but it's your metabolism, things change. So I would say just adjust those things and move a little more. It sounds so simple, move a little more, eat a little less, but that would be really kind of what it is, right? Like, I don't know what you do, or if are you an agent, right?
Yeah.
So you're up and down, so you're moving and you kind of make your own schedule, but I'm sure if you have time, you put in, you go to the gym, or maybe you work out or hike. I think you're doing all the right things. I don't think that, I mean, you look great. So it's not like you're, I mean, you do. So yeah, I think, I don't know if that even answered your question, but.
Okay.
What about functional training for you? Have you ever done that?
What do you mean by that?
So when you go to the gym and you lift your weights, or you lift your weights at least 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, when I was a personal trainer, or for a long time, but that seemed to really shift the body. So now you're doing side lunges and you're getting the whole body. You're getting cardio and weights at the same time, maybe?
Oh, I do that.
Yeah, so you already do that, okay. Because I always saw people shift, like their body started to shift. Okay.
And how much water do you drink?
A lot.
You drink a lot. Like, you know how much though? How many ounces?
No, I don't. I should track that. I don't know if there's a.
Well,
That's literally my question.
That's the number one. So if you said, in a lot of competitors do this because they do a water cycle. So if you weigh, let's just say you weigh 100 pounds, you should be drinking at least 50 ounces of water a day, which is half your body weight. If he weighs 200 pounds, he needs to be drinking 100. Men are typically more, though. They sweat more. I feel like they have a higher, body temperature. They need more. And then if you're working out on top of that, you need more. Or in the summer. I don't think most people, I know they don't drink enough water. I know it for a fact because even my own friends, I'm with them and I watch them. I'm like, how much water have you drank? Like, well, I'm like, they don't drink water. And I don't care where I go, I'm going to be carrying water with me. So you have to drink half your body weight. That's like it's like a magic thing. Everyone wants this magic pill. This is the magic. It's your water. I swear, and that is the truth. No, it really is. It will change your life.
Like 2 gallons, that's a ton.
You have to
I mean, I
do it.
remember I had a
Yeah.
friend who was training for, he was actually doing real estate coaching, but he was training for a competition, and he carried a flippin' gallon jug with him all the time.
Yes,
Right.
and it looks obnoxious, and people
Yeah.
are gonna, like, I've trained, like, women before, or like bus drivers, and people work in a court, like an attorney, and they go, Tara, I can't drink the water you're telling me because I'm in a courtroom all day, and what am I gonna run out and pee, or I'm driving a bus all day, I can't run. It doesn't matter, like, eventually your body is gonna be able to adapt to that, and you're gonna pee more, but that's good, it's normal, but then you adapt to it. But you would know, you're a nutritionist, you have to drink half your body weight of water. Then the competition, when you're doing a competition, the water cycle that you do is insane. I only weighed like, you know, at the like say 110, 108 at the time. So I'm drinking 2 gallons, and I thought I was gonna die. I'm like drowning in my water. I was horrible. I wanted to throw up. But you do that, then you taper off towards the end, and you don't drink at all for a whole like day. That's bad, and then you're dehydrated. So so that you're saying the whole cut thing, that's what that is. It's the water. You never look like, you don't walk around looking like that after the show, right? So you're looking like that just for that day, and once you start eating again and drinking, you're pretty normal. I mean, it's not like you're gonna blow up, but you don't look that lean all the time. It's actually unhealthy, I think, to walk around like that.
I saw a picture on like social media one time where a girl that was underhydrating, and then when she was properly hydrated, the drastic change in just her face from looking like she was like deaf to like alive and like beautiful, like color. I mean, so water is important. I usually say about half to 1 ounce of fluid per pound of body weight. So that half is that half ounce or half of your body weight is like the minimum. And then more with exercise, about roughly like 2 to 3 cups per hour of exercise. A lot of folks don't like the way the water tastes. I am a big advocate of adding lemon to your water, or lime. Lemon's really great, even though people think it's acidic, but when it hits your stomach, it's actually more alkaline, so it does help your body absorb the foods better, or digest the foods better, and adds flavor, good for your skin too, rich source of vitamin C, so lemon water is one of my favorite go-tos.
And do you think, is there a different kind of water, like, that is more minerally?
Yeah, right.
Okay, because I'm
Mineral is the best, yeah. If you can get mineral water, or use like regular filtered water and then add trace minerals to it, the body is more metabolically responsive to mineral water. So if you can buy mineral water, great. If you can't, and then adding trace minerals to the water.
Is that like a supplement? Like
It's like a liquid. I think it's called like Trace Elements on like Amazon. You do a couple drops of that into your water, and that's really great to do. Yeah.
So I would have to wrap up. And I was going to ask if you could ever drink too much water.
Yes,
that one sentence.
absolutely.
You can.
Yeah, you can drown in
You
your
can.
water.
I said you
Yes,
can.
yes,
She said
yeah.
that.
Yeah, you can actually dilute your electrolytes, and by doing so, you can drown in your own body. I've only seen that or heard of it through ultra endurance athletes that aren't properly hydrating with electrolytes, and people with disordered eating where they're over drinking and not eating enough food. So it's very hard to over drink, but in certain populations, they are at a higher risk. Yeah.
Before we thank you guys, I want to make sure everybody knows that, I mean, now I feel bad that it's big old sandwiches after this time. Eat sparingly, you guys. Use your fists, whatever you gotta do. Lunch is here, and that is compliments of Cross Country Mortgage. And from Cross Country is Lizzie Hofer, if you don't know her, #1 female loan officer in the nation, is speaking in 13 minutes, so we're going to eat fast. But she's talking all about work-life balance, and if anyone knows it, she's got 3 little kids. She is a rock star loan officer, so please stay for her portion. She's hoping that you will, and so we want to thank everybody, right? Thank you so much. Thank you. It was great. We could have gone a lot longer.
Grab cards from these.
Oh yeah, I'll take
Reach
my
out.
card.